everyone and welcome back. If you're new, hi, my name is Hannah Maria. I'm ThiccThighs Saving Lives and today I'll be doing a book review on What a Time to Be Alone by The Slumflower. I actually read this book a few years ago. As part of Black History Month, I wanted to review books written by Black authors and Black creators and spread a bit of love for my community. So yes, I'll be reviewing this, so keep watching if you want to hear what I have to say about it. Also, you'll notice that my backdrop is different because I have moved to university. I'm studying full-time. So yeah, I've moved to university, which is why things look a bit different. But yeah, so I will get going. So this is written by The Slumflower. She is from London. From South London actually, so big up London girls. She wrote this book a few years ago. I bought it when it had recently come out actually. The reason she started, I guess she became more popular and her sort of movement and her ideas became more known was through her campaign Saggy Boobs Matter, which is why I've got my saggy boobs out to kind of honour that. So she started Saggy Boobs Matter, and kind of through that body positivity, this book came out. And her online presence is very welcome in my life. I've learned a lot off of her and how to be kind of unapologetic as a Black girl, and especially around the topics of sort of body hair, saggy boobs, and just owning your Blackness. She's wonderful. I really enjoy her work actually. And so I decided to read her book and it's wonderful. That brings me on to a quote from the book that I really like, and I think it kind of sums up why I bought the book and why it served me so well at that time. Once you snap out of the fear of being alone, you become invincible. Your life finally becomes yours to shape. And I think reading this book, it was chipping away at this kind of idea that I needed to be with somebody else, or I needed to be with others or part of a group and be accepted by others to really get going with my life. But it's the complete opposite. Once you realise that being on your own and your solitude can actually bring so much strength to you, yeah, your life starts to kind of take form in the way that you want it to. And I think that's definitely been true for me. My standards are just so much more, I guess they're higher, but I'm less willing to give up on them now, whereas before it was kind of, you know, people might be able to kind of pick holes in them. So yeah, I think the first thing I actually want to say about this book is it's not one of these books that's like filled with text, you know, top to bottom, you know, tiny font. It's colourful, the layout is gorgeous, it's accessible as well, which is why, as I mentioned, I read it last night. I didn't read it for 12 hours, it maybe took me 1.5 to 2 hours to read, and that's with breaks and, you know, having to read bits over, because sometimes I see myself on autopilot and I just read a few pages and I'm like, what did I just read? So yeah, it doesn't take long to read because of the way it's laid out. It is just so concise but powerful. So it's a book that I've actually revisited. That was my third time reading it yesterday. And as well, not only the words and the layout and the way, you know, the way it's set, but actually she's got a lot of her own artwork in here as well. Let me find some. Like this. The artwork in it is really gorgeous, and the way it's laid over or under or with the graphics of the book and the content, it's really pretty. It makes for a nice reading experience. You don't feel like you're kind of reading a 10-step plan on how to, you know, be successful at life. I mean, what does that even mean? It just feels very real, casual. And actually, if you've seen any interviews with her, when you read the book, you actually realise that it's just written in her own voice, and the way she sounds in the book is how she sounds in real life. She says things, it's like an imperative tone. It's like you should do this and you must do this and people are like this and blah blah blah. But I think when you're trying to overcome loneliness and feeling needy in the sense that you want to be around other people and not being able to rely on yourself, that kind of directive voice is very, very comforting. It's unapologetic, and there's just wisdom in every word. It's just jumping out of the book. And actually, not just wisdom from her, She has a Nigerian heritage, and her mum used idioms with her growing up, and they're actually spread all throughout the book. And she quotes them and uses them to kind of frame the things that she wants to say, and it's just amazing. They're actually written in EGGERUE, because that's I think that's the tribe that she's from in Nigeria. But my favourite one is, he who is asking for the same haircut as John, does he have the same head shape as John? When I read it, I immediately thought of me and my plus size clothing journey, because honestly, anybody who doesn't look like a model, which is basically most of the world, will know when they order something and it comes and it doesn't look on them the same way that it looks on the model, and you think, well, that's because my body isn't the same as the model. My body's not any better or worse, it's just different. Expecting things to work the same for you the way they work for other people is just a recipe for disaster. And with the quotes as well, they're all very straight to the point. She's just unapologetic, and she really doesn't give one about what people think. And she's just straight up with it, and that's a good lesson for everybody, but particularly women and black women, to learn. It takes practice. I'm still on baby step, probably number 1. So yeah, I think the last thing I wanted to speak about was the actual content of what's in there. The book is actually split into 3 sections or chapters, I guess. They're not long because the book isn't long, but it's called You, Them and Us. So she talks about self-love and your relationship with yourself, and even self-hatred, and you know, where it might come from, and dealing with trauma. But then with Them, she talks about, I guess, empathy towards other people, but also knowing that you don't have to fix people. She talks from a kind of perspective of somebody having a saviour complex, where you feel like you have to fix people, you always have to help them, you always have to be there as a cushion for other people, but that ends up leaving you with no cushion for yourself. And she kind of talks about ways of being kind, but also maintaining your own personal and emotional space. Because the thing is as well, is if you keep giving yourself to others, then that's what they expect of you, and you kind of set that, you don't have any boundaries actually. It's like a guide for life, but every time I've read it, something different has jumped out at me. The first time I read it, it was more the stuff to do with being comfortable in your own company and loving yourself. It was different the second time, and then this time reading it, the things that sort of jumped out to me were sort of the relationship things, and also the times that she talks about trauma and healing. It's definitely a book to buy and keep, because I find that I will keep reading over this, like periodically, and it kind of gives comfort for different things you might be going through. Oh, and it also talks about racism. I mean, we're in Black History Month, and I think this is a good time, not just for black people, this is a time for everyone to do their research, educate themselves, and support black people and black artists, black creators. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it really. Yes, of course I would recommend it. I think I would recommend it if you're like me, if you've dealt with loneliness or feeling kind of inadequate on your own, or like self-esteem problems, relationship issues as well. I'd also recommend it to black women or black girls, because hearing someone with the same background as you, so powerful and wise and compassionate, but also unapologetically self-loving, makes you want to do the same, it makes you feel the same. So yes, all in all, I would recommend it. Let me know if you're going to read it, if you have read it, and what you thought as well. I hope everybody's okay. COVID has been doing the rounds and coming up and down, and especially in the UK it's really bad right now. So I just hope anyone watching this, you and your family, you're safe, you're doing okay, mentally and physically of course. Yeah, I'm just sending out the best vibes possible. In case you were wondering, I'm doing okay. It's been a bit rough recently, but I'm getting into a routine. It's gonna be fine. You know, I've been baking brownies. So I'm coping. So thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to everybody who supports me on my page as well. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video, which will definitely be soon. Just stay tuned for it. Bye!